This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.
All right, I believe right now we have executive from over at 360 Secure. That's the number 3, spell out 60secure.com. Our buddy, welcome back on the program, Craig Bromell. How you doing, Craig?
Hey, Todd. How you doing, man?
Good, dude. Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Toronto. Just here for this week.
What's your day-to-day? What's your day-to-day like, Craigie?
Well, I do a number of things. I do the consulting with 360, Chief Security Intelligence Officer. I also have a labor front. I have a construction building union in Canada, a couple of thousand people there. And I'm still dabbling in a television movie, working on a script right now. So it's good. It's very good. I got a lot of great people that work for me, so they make it easy for me.
No doubt. I've always been a little bit surprised in the radio industry, an industry that you were involved in for a bit. Never sort of tried to get a union together for to protect. Radio jobs are scarce. It's a kind of a very fickle industry. It's not always easy. It's something I thought about. I'm surprised radio personalities don't try and protect themselves a little more. Yeah,
when I do a television show, there's with the crew and all that, there's 6 or 7 unions that we negotiate with at the start. And so television, film, documentaries are union at the highest level. So, yeah, I never even thought about the mention right now. But the radio is still, obviously, still very active. A lot of people are doing it in the thousands, so I'm surprised at that. But like television, film, a lot of unions are involved in that industry.
Without a doubt, yeah, that's which is part of the reason why I was always surprised about radio in general. So, Craig, I got to ask you a question. Interesting case going on right now. The sort of news broke late last night of a very, very popular Canadian personality and American personality as well, Kevin O'Leary, and the tragic death of 2 people on a boat in a boat collision on Lake Joseph, which is a very elite, sort of wealthy part of Ontario and really in Canada, some of the nicest homes you're ever going to see right on lakefront properties. How do police investigate boat crashes?
Same as anything on the highways. Just as serious. I know fatality is, that's the highest level of any investigation. So they'll do, believe it or not, there's going to be a lot of cameras on cottages up there. They'll use the camera system, look at personal cameras on your properties. They'll do that. They'll obviously interview where there are two vessels involved. They'll interview where they were coming from, who was there. It's a full investigation, just like a fatality involving a car accident. And they put a lot of personnel behind it. I think on this one it's the OPP. And it's very similar. And so when you see a fatality on our streets because of a vehicle accident, this is the same. And it can be just as serious, the outcome. And so I think they're going to all look at it, and they'll do the forensic. They'll do the blood testing. They'll do. I understand there might have been a breathalyzer involved, but from what I've read in the paper, not sure if that's accurate or not. So they're going to do everything just like an unfortunate fatality during a car accident.
Yeah, and definitely unfortunate. 2 people dead. Is it sort of harder to collect kind of evidence and doing the forensics and stuff based on the fact that it's in water? Like, is there, or is it, does it? I just don't know. For some reason, I feel like it's a more difficult investigation.
It would be. Obviously, where they're located, they don't have as many resources as they would, say, on a major highway anywhere in the province. So, yes, because of that alone. They are on the water. You're accurate, but my feeling is something like this, they're going to collect as many videos as they can, and they might have an obvious an offense here on somebody's part, and I think that's where they're going to go with this. So I think that it's early in the investigation. Again, it's fortunate a couple of people have died out of it. So it's the insurance is involved. It's all that. It's the same as a car accident.
Craig Bromell with us. Another topic in the news this week, and would love your thoughts on it, that there were some men found guilty years ago in the Via Rail terror plot. They've now won a new trial over basically improper jury selection. Is this something you've looked at closely? And you know, is this something as a former police officer and basically former head of the Toronto Police Union, Police Association, you know, when you see cases get reopened, does this stuff drive you crazy?
I think it, especially with this type of offense, I think it should drive all of us a little crazy. You know, when the police officers, they did, you know, I know the case. They did one hell of a job on this, and could have been a real bad situation. You put the case forward, you know, you make the proper arrest, go through the process, and then when it's on an error of the judge, the sitting judge, it's even more frustrating. I've talked to people about this, and they're not too sure if this judge actually erred or not. They don't know where the appeal court was looking at this. And so, yeah, it could be, you know, it could be years down the road now. Obviously, taxpayers' money. You know, you have to be fair in the system. Everybody's equal under the system, and you're innocent until proven guilty. And if anybody, whether it's the arresting officer or the prosecutor or the judge, if somebody's made an error, you go through the process, which is our right. But it is, there's no doubt it's frustrating. It should be frustrating for all of us because of the type of offense here. This could have been a really bad situation. And it was, I know the case, it was some really great police work, combination of different police services. So it's frustrating. You know, it was a while ago. A lot of the officers would have moved on. So we'll see how this plays out. But you're accurate. It's very frustrating. And again, I think it should be just frustrating with the general public. But hopefully, you know, if it does go to a trial, you know, same outcome, and they'll just move forward, and hopefully everybody does what they're supposed to do.
Craig Bromell is on the phone with us, head of security. What's your exact title again at 360secure.com? And all my notes in front of me.
Chief Security Intelligence Officer.
Okay, of course, Chief of Security Intelligence Officer. I guess that, you know, for me, the thing that would be very, very, you know, I think difficult is if you did it, you know, you stood trial and say you were a police officer testifying, and you know, you put the bad guys away. Memories fade over time, and you know, all of a sudden you got to kind of remember kind of what you said and what was said, and I don't know what's documented or not documented. That's got to be sort of a little bit difficult, I would imagine, for police as witnesses to go, okay, hey, I don't want to mess up this, like, you know, like not remember the story, but like, let's be honest, we're all human. Like a lot of events happen in 5-6 years. Well,
in Canada, police officers are allowed to keep a memo book of the incidents, and the memo book is to refresh your memory, especially like times like this. But you only keep your memo book for a 7-year period. After 7 years, your memo books, which are stored in a secured location during that time, will be destroyed. So, and that's by law. So I believe this is within the 7 years. So they will have memo books that can refresh their memories. There'll be a lot of documents out there involved in the case. The disclosure on this between the defense and the Crown would have been thousands of pages. So there would have been a lot for them to. They're allowed to read their notes, or obviously to refresh their memories, and they're allowed to read anything in the disclosure. So there will be things in place to help them remember situations. So, and that's the way it, you know, it's built that way, because, you know, anybody wants to refresh the memory to get to the truth of the matter. So that's why it's put in place that way. So all those officers involved will have memo books.
A good little piece of nugget of information I think a lot of people might not have known, especially the 7-year rule. Craig Bromell, I know we're about a week away from the MJ BizCon in Toronto, and 360 Secure is going to be there. They got a booth there, and people can learn about everything to do with how they can kind of protect your cannabis security needs, from license consultation to guarding and transport. As well, there's sort of opportunities and job opportunities there. And I was thinking about this. How, you know, if you're sort of really intrigued by becoming a sort of like an armed security officer, you know, for a company such as yours, can anyone do, like, could a guy like me just go and do that? Could I apply? How does that work?
It's a very high qualification.
So I couldn't do it, is what you're saying. I don't stand a chance then.
No, you never know. you know, and you know, you got to be able to shoot straight. There's you know, you have to pass qualifications. You know, there's a screening process that's really high level about your background, your history. Really, we get in depth on that at the highest level for the obvious reasons. And you know, we're looking at some of our personnel being armed because, you know, with the cannabis industry, and we're saying this all the time, that, you know, 70% of the industry in this country is black market still. So we're very concerned about that. We're concerned about the security of our own personnel, plus our clients, whoever we're transporting for. And it's very serious. Some of these black market people are involved. They're very serious dudes and organized crime. And so we're growing with this business like everybody else is. The government's growing. It's very new. And I think we all have to work together to get that flipped around so that, you know, 78% of the industry is legal and 30% is black market if we could, because it's not, we don't live in a perfect world. There's always going to be, you know, bad people around. So, you know, we're working on that, trying to get the government to bring in serious legislation. You've seen many times where, especially in Toronto, the storefronts are closed and they're opened up the next day. That's all considered black market. And people they're not paying taxes, and we don't know who, you know, the shady characters are involved in those businesses.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was joking with another individual at another cannabis company today, and we were talking about how heavy and really present the black market is still, and it's, you know, conversations that were always reinforced by you, Craig Bromell. And I joked in a way. I said, you know, how did the alcohol industry get it so right? Because, you know, why aren't I making illegal alcohol somewhere in a factory and just selling that in a park or an alleyway and, you know, cutting costs and making sure that they better margins than the beer store, the LCBOs and stuff? How did the alcohol industry get it right, but not the cannabis industry?
Well, I think they want to get to the point where the cannabis industry is similar to the LCBO and the beer store setup we have, especially here in Ontario. And it's very competitive, and it hurts the black market. They over years have brought in the best of whatever the liquor is or the beer. So I think they're trying to get to that point. And obviously liquor's been around for a long time. So, you know, the perfect world with cannabis would be similar to how it happened with liquor. And that's only really our comparison we have in our society. It does work. It's not perfect, but the LCBO is very regulated, as are the beer stores, and our liquor laws are very serious. So it would be, we're trying to get there. It's going to take time. There's no doubt about it, because it's new. I mean, we haven't been legal on the rec side. It hasn't been a year yet.
I don't. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think the other issue that we have to be ready for is the next in October is the edibles. Yep. And I think that part of the industry, I truly believe that part of the industry will be 50% of the cannabis industry. I think it's going to be massive. And so we really have to get all the regulations in place before there's even more cannabis on the streets, legally and illegally. And, you know, I think the edible side of this is going to be massive.
I couldn't concur more, and someone who's sort of dabbling even on the public side of things, eventually within a company that I might be a part of. I believe you're right. The oils, the extractions, the edibles, it's going to absolutely blow up. Is the government doing enough to educate? Are we getting enough education out there?
Well, I've seen in the past, the federal government on not just cannabis, on other subjects we could talk about, we'll drop it down to the provinces, and the provinces will be left with dealing with it. I don't think the feds are doing enough. And the provinces, you know, like even on Ontario here, you know, they put out the next lottery, and it was a mess, the one that they just announced here for new stores. So I just, you know, to be honest with you, we should have about 300 stores in the province right now that are up and running. That would really hurt the black market. But for whatever reason, they're taking their time. I don't see why. There are some established people out there that really want to get involved and take control of the situation, you know, legitimate, by the book individuals. And there's frustration there. We might, by this time next year, we might have 50 stores up and running in Ontario. And that's not what people want. And people want to know that they're getting a product that, health-wise is accurate. That's the other problem with the black market. You don't know what you're getting. And so I think that, we should have hundreds of stores. And we might have 4 dozen this time next year because it's snail's pace. And that's assisting the black market. People are frustrated. They can't get the product. Not enough locations to get it legally. So they go back to the way they were purchasing cannabis, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, listen, well said. And again, I not just blowing smoke up your ass, Craig. I completely agree with what you're saying, and I hope this stuff is expedited. And I think about the few stores that are around, and when I'm downtown Toronto, and I live close by a couple of them anyway, they're on Queen Street and stuff. You often see lineups, and one of the things, just on a pure business level, is you want a great customer experience, so you want people to kind of have an efficient experience at that. You don't want to really wait in lines, and I imagine for a lot of these, kind of die-hard pot smokers that were probably getting it somewhere before, they're sitting there going, why am I waiting in line for 40 minutes when I could just go call my old dealer? That part of it also is why we need more stores. Customers don't want to sit there maybe the product is a little bit better and obviously you can rely on it, but the customer experience has got to be very difficult for some.
Yeah, there's an app out there. You might know about it. I think it's called Weed Maps.
Yep.
And it's an app. And if you give me an example, there's hundreds of locations. Well, that's all black market. And if you hit, and they deliver too. So you go to Parliament Hill, and I think we counted 30 within 5 kilometers of Parliament Hill that are illegal. Then there's another 40 that are within 3 kilometers of Queen's Park here in Toronto. I mean, it's an absolute embarrassment. And you can just go, make a phone call, and it's delivered to your house, delivered to the corner, and it's right in the backyard of the decision makers who are trying to make this thing legal, and they're right in their own backyard. It's something that you go to this thing. There's so many of them, and it's all black market. And it's like it's an app. And
no, wild.
Right in their own backyard of the decision makers on this, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. So, you go to some of these stores, the legal ones, I mean, they're very impressive.
Yep.
The employees are impressive, very clean, very, very professional. So, the storefronts themselves, the legal side of this are, and that's across the country, are really trying to make ends meet here and trying to do well, and that they're getting frustrated also.
I get it. And Craig, is that something though that 360 Secure maybe is involved in sort of doing protection within individual cannabis stores? Have you guys done any of those partnerships?
We do. So we don't advertise. We do a lot of it, but we don't advertise it for obvious reasons. But we are doing extra protection, a lot of the I don't know how many we're at now, 300 shootings in the city. A good number of them are involved with cannabis industry, street level gangs, marijuana, all that. So, the bad guys are still shooting at each other over it. So, if you're trying to make a go of this legally, some locations you're up against it.
Finally, I've just to come full circle from the start of our conversation. If you are doing some of that stuff and don't advertise it, I'm thinking of, maybe a guy who looks like me could actually be a security guard because I don't look the part, but I'm kind of looking at you. You don't know that I'm there, but I'm there. You just think I'm waiting in line. Craig, listen, I love these talks, my man. Craig Bromell, always offering us such great perspectives and honest and real perspectives, and I don't think there are enough of them these days. So we always appreciate your candidness, and so happy with the continued success. A great reporting, quarterly reporting for 360 Secure, and the company Safe is a stock that I highly encourage people to take a look at. Again, I can't give financial advice. Always do your due diligence, but when you see a company that's growing, that's hiring, that has an amazing management team, and then it has great revenues and appears to have a wonderful stock price, you might want to take a look at it on that angle as well. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope to catch up with you soon, my man.
Thanks, Todd.
Cheers. Craig Bromell, everyone.
This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.